Dr. Sam, everyone on the platform. So sorry. So we're not so sorry. So what I'm going to do is that we're doing the introduction, then I'll quickly share. I know we have some people on the YouTube and some already left, but I will share it one that we are on while we start. So sorry. So what I'm going to do is that we're doing the introduction, then I'll quickly share. I know we have some people on the YouTube and some already left, but I will share it one that we are on while we start. So sorry. So what I'm going to do is that we're doing the introduction, then I'll quickly share. I know we have some people. Okay, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being there. So sorry for the almost an hour delay, the technical stuff. We're having with us to start the MSMEs Lead Up Conference 2023. Good man from CBN, the NCR Registrar, that's the National Collateral Registry, Mr. Abolus Musa. Will be sharing with us with a slide the ease of access to credit for MSMEs, and we will have our opportunity to ask questions, and then we know that from there the conversation continues, and then we can be able to know from the NCR the opportunity, the benefits that we can enjoy from the new policy. So over to you, sir. You have your slide, you have the floor. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So you are presenting from that side, go? Hello?
I'm with you, sir.
Okay, will you be controlling the slide?
Yeah, you have the control.
I have access?
Yes.
Okay. Next, I can't see next now. Yeah, I can see slide 1. I don't think I've seen slide 1. I've not seen slide 1 yet. I thought. Okay. Well, yeah, I can see now. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, good morning, all. We'll be looking at some critical things and where and how NCR can help us as MSMEs to grow. We want to look at some basic facts here now. And what are the basic facts? 40 million SMEs in the country represent 90% of businesses and are considered the backbone of the Nigerian economy. That's a fact. 40 million SMEs, 90% of businesses are the backbone of the economy, which includes your business. MSMEs contribute more than 50% of the country's annual GDP. That's a fact. MSMEs employ 84% of its labor force, of the country's labor force. That's a fact. MSMEs received less than 5% of all credit granted by the banking industry. That's a fact. That's a painful fact. And that is what we don't want to see. That's what we want to correct. Reasons why MSMEs find it difficult to have access to funds. One of the reasons is refusal to apply due process due to fear of rejection. Lack of loan readiness. Most of us are not ready for loan. Lack of consistent cash flow. I will jump that one that is bolded. Debt to income ratio. Customer concentrations. Personal guarantee. Every time we're talking about personal guarantee, what is personal guarantee? Insufficient operating history. Economic concerns. Insufficient management team. The one I really want to talk about seriously is insufficient collateral. These are the reasons why most of the time we don't have credit. Why, despite the number of MSMEs we have in the country, 5% only come to us, MSMEs. And what is the next thing? The economy that do not have a thriving MSMEs cannot be progressive. No matter how the economy is, if the MSMEs are not thriving, they are not growing, that country cannot be said to be a progressive nation. So which means you are the determinant of what makes a nation progressive. China is what it is because of MSMEs. Most countries have been developed due to the effort of MSMEs. Then what else? And that's why we are here now, the STMA to the rescue. What is this STMA? Secure transaction in movable assets. This is a reform, a regulatory reform that allows individuals and businesses to use movable assets as collateral. Remember the one I highlighted was insufficient collateral. Now, the government is aware of this, the central bank is aware of this, and we knew there would be problem. And that's why we came up with the secure transaction in movable asset. It's controlled by the STMA Act of 2017 that establishes the National Collateral Registry. What's this STMA all about? It will allow you to use your movable assets as collateral to obtain credit loan. It facilitates the acceptance of movable assets as collateral for credit by financial institutions. Everything now is in your hands. There's a research that says most of 84% of movable assets are owned by MSMEs. What is this National Collateral Registry? That's a registry that manages the database for all collateral registry in the country. Anybody that wants to collect credit goes to his bank for this particular thing. And these are the objectives of the Act. Enhance financial inclusion in Nigeria. Stimulate responsible lending to MSMEs. Facilitate access to credit secured with movable assets. Facilitate perfection of security interest in movable assets. Facilitate realization of security interest in movable assets. You can see it. Everything is about the MSMEs. And since we know that the MSMEs are the bedrock of any country's development, and they do not have the collateral that the banks have been talking about, which is lands, buildings, and other things, a significant portion of your assets are immovable assets. So if we must stimulate credit, we also must protect the financial institution. And that's why the third one, facilitate access to credit secured with movable assets. We'll get to understand what that security is. Facilitate perfection of security interest in movable assets, which means it is perfected. In the case of default, we facilitate realization of security interest in movable assets. These are the objectives of the Act, as the Secure Transaction in Movable Assets Act of 2017. There are parties to this STMA, Secure Transaction in Movable Assets. And what are the parties? The creditor, the debtor, and the grantor. The creditor is the financial institution that grants the credit. And it's that creditor that registers on the register. The debtor is an individual, organization, or an MSME who is into business or whatsoever, who borrows a credit facility. The grantor is a person that brings his asset to be used as collateral. The grantor may be a third party, and the grantor could also be the debtor. So as I'm talking now, somebody will be thinking, well, oh, grantor can be a third party. Yes. When an individual, if Mr. X wants to collect loan from bank, if Mr. X wants to collect loan from GTB and does not have movable asset, he can go to Y and say, Y, I need loan from GTB. I need 5 million naira from GTB, but I don't have a movable asset that can be accepted. But you have movable asset. Y can decide to accept that his asset be used as collateral. Y is the grantor. GTB is the debtor. And X is the debtor. And X can also be the grantor if he uses his assets. That's a business opportunity we are talking about, which means there is a room for collateral lending in the country. For this asset to be accepted as collateral, it must what? The parties concerned must agree on the terms of the credit facility, including the type of movable assets, collateral, with the borrower. The debtor and the creditor must agree. They must create a security interest on the movable asset. This security interest is a legal claim that gives the creditor the right to take possession of the collateral in the event of default. The creation of the security interest gives the creditor, bank, which is GTB, the right to possess the asset in the case of default. A security interest is created by a security agreement between the creditor and the grantor in favor of the creditor. Remember, if the grantor is there, the agreement will be between the creditor and the grantor, all in favor of the debtor. Because of the debtor, all in favor of the creditor. Sorry for that. What are the contents of the security agreement, which we must be aware? There must be an intention, a plan for the grantor and the creditor to create a security interest. That I want to register my security interest in this motor vehicle. The creditor, we must identify the grantor and the creditor. Who is giving his asset for collateral, which is the grantor? There must be a clearly defined details of the underlying credit facility, particularly the maximum enforceable amount, the tenure. All those things you see in the credit document must be there. We must describe the collateral in a distinct way that distinguishes it from any other asset. If it's a vehicle, the chassis number, brand number, model number, or any other thing, the collateral must be properly described. You can't say that yellow vehicle. And there are many yellow vehicles in the country. That black Benz that has a shaky tire, there could be many black Benz that have shaky tire. We must adequately describe this asset for this security agreement to work. There must be an insurance. That's a big thing we need to look into, insurance. Companies go down because when something just sudden comes to them and they are unable to survive and the business gets wiped off. For this particular security agreement, there must be an insurance cover on the collateral. The insurance cover on the collateral protects the owner, which is the grantor, and also protects the creditor. If you have an insurance cover on the car, if there's any case of theft or whatsoever, I'm indemnified. The bank also sees it and say, our interest is also protected. Let's extend to some other things, the grantor's present and future assets. You know, the collateral you have, if you take it to the bank and say, okay, I want to give this particular thing, it protects only that collateral. But for the secured interest, it protects, it extends toward the grantor's present and future assets. Which means you decide to run away with the asset, it looks at your future assets. What about the vehicle? If the vehicle is used for cabo as a taxi driver, it also extends to the proceeds of his taxi, of cabo or whatsoever it does, the amount he gets for driving that thing. It also extends to the money he has in his account and the money he expects to receive. So you see, it gives the bank a cover, guarantees them a cover that they can grant credit on movable assets. Nobody wants to give his money to any MSME if it's not protected. These are the things we've been discussing with them, and they see it as good. And that both parties must submit to arbitration first. If there's a dispute, they must submit to arbitration. The grantor also must consent to the registration of a financing statement in respect of the movable asset. All these things must be registered. And where will it be registered? On the National Collateral Registry. The security interest created by the execution of the security agreement must be perfected for it to have certain privileges under the STME law. And what is the perfection? It is registered on the National Collateral Registry. Immediately you agree with the bank and it is registered, who is perfected. Which means it gives the creditor the right to repossess the asset in the case of default. What are the implications if we agree on this? The creditor has priority interest in the encumbered movable assets, depending on priority rules set out in the law. Which means in the case of default, the creditor has priority over that asset because the asset has been perfected. The security interest rather has been perfected. Certain details of the encumbered movable asset become searchable on the NCR. If you agree to come on the NCR for your security document to be perfected on the NCR, then it can be searchable. Anybody that you also want to go back to collect loan can see his priority interest and can see your debt encumbrance on the NCR register. Also, the grantor cannot dispose of encumbered collateral without informing creditor or disclosing the fact. The grantor cannot sell it without telling the creditor. Remember, it is encumbered. And any person keeping this encumbered asset must protect this asset from damage, impairment, or loss. It is your responsibility. There are charges that applies to this, not small charges. Now we need to look at what these movable assets are. What are those things we can use to collect credit? Movable assets means intangible or tangible or intangible property other than real estates. We do not cover real estate. We do not cover aircrafts and boats. What are those things that the movable asset under the NCR covers? Financial instrument and security, like bank deposit account, share certificate, investment certificate, negotiable instruments like check, promissory note, bill, money order, certificates of deposit, any other thing that is a negotiable instrument. Bill of exchange also. Any of these assets, instrument, can be used as a movable, as a collateral. Most of us know what promissory note is. The note, a promise made by one person to another, telling him that on so period I will pay so thing. If MTN now has a promise to pay Mr. X 5 million naira, Mr. X can go to any bank and say, this is a promise from MTN. This is a promise from MTN to do this particular thing, to do this thing, to pay me 5 million. I need 2 million naira for working capital. Everybody knows that MTN will not fail. We're talking about account receivable already. You're expecting money, debtors, money from debtors, reliable debtors. Because the bank will look at how reliable these debtors are. There are ways to determine which particular account receivable is accepted or not accepted. You expect money from the government, or you expect money from Central Bank of Nigeria. You expect 5 billion naira from Central Bank of Nigeria. However, you need 20 million naira to do some things. You can just go with the undertaking that this is a document that Central Bank said it will pay me in the next 1 month, but I need 20 million naira now. That's an account, a movable asset. You can use that as collateral. Proceeds such as all cash, license fees, royalties, awards, judgments, insurance. You can use that as movable assets. Or bill of lading, airway bill. You can use that. The equipment you have in your factory, plant, machinery, or other capital goods can also be used as movable assets. Even your inventory that you want to sell, raw materials, intermediate inputs, which is work in progress, and finished goods, held for sale or lease, can also be used as movable assets, as collateral. So you see, you all have all these things. What about your farm products? Crops that are growing or grown already or to be grown, fish stocks, livestock, poultry, and their unborn offsprings, seeds, fertilizers, manure, and supplies, and products of crops and livestock in their unprocessed states can be used as collateral. They are all movable assets. Your vehicle, your cars, vans, buses, heavy-duty vehicles, your trucks, your tankers, your motorcycle, bicycles, and tricycles. This can be used as collateral because they are movable assets. One most important thing is intellectual property. Most of you have copyright, have intellectual things that you eat. Have you registered your trademarks? What patents, copyrights? And those things are of great value, registered. And the bank could determine the value. That's a viable collateral for credit. You can use your electronic and electrical appliances. Most individuals use these things to collect small credits, 50,000 naira, 20,000 naira. Your fittings, minerals, jewelry, consumer goods, every asset you think can be used. How then do you do? What do you do? Just contact your bank. I say, bank, I need so amount. I have movable assets that can be used as a collateral. You perfect it with these banks and the bank registry. It's an electronic database. You don't register it. The creditor don't register. The debtor don't register it. It's the creditor that registers their security interest in your asset or in the grantor's assets. A creditor or his agent can do that. And when it is done, the asset is assigned. It is assigned a registration number, date, and time. And when the creditor does that, the creditor must give you a copy of the financing statement within 15 working days of receipt of it, which issues that your asset has been encumbered for so long that they are about to give. What are we to do? All parties are to act in good faith. Remember, if borrower defaults, creditor issues notice of default and intention to reprocess collateral to borrower and grantor. And the creditor may take possession of the asset in 10 days after notice. Oh, we could also use the police to recover that. There is, for this particular thing, to ensure that everything is done well, there's a mediation and dispute resolution panel. The mediation and dispute resolution panel will negotiate and mediate in the case of default. The borrower still liable for unpaid liabilities if disposal value is insufficient. If, for example, we sell the asset, you collected 10 million naira and we sold the asset for 9 million naira, you are still liable for the remaining amount. It gives the grantor the right to redeem collateral before disposal. However, there are offenses. If you, as MSME, provide false information as an individual, provide false information, you give wrong information, you are liable to 1 year imprisonment or 100,000 naira fine for an individual. For a company, for a corporation, is 1 million naira. If you sell the asset without discussing, informing the creditor, 1 year imprisonment, 100,000 naira fine. And you must compensate, you must indemnify the person, compensate him for the loss, for the amount that you've collected. But as responsible MSMEs, nobody is thinking of failing nobody is thinking of his business failing. You are going to collect credit because you feel you have the capacity to change this country. So we don't expect this thing to come up much. Wow, this is what I want you to know about. So far, these are our dashboard. 744 companies have registered, financial institutions have registered. 141 financial institutions are really active. The number of financing statements that we have registered is about 288,943. How many borrowers so far? 459,155 borrowers. And 31% of these people, borrowers, are female. The credit that we have granted, the value of financing statement we have created, just like the credit we have granted, is 16.32 trillion since 2015, late 2015. We can say 2016. 16.32 trillion naira. 2.47 billion has been registered. 11.04 million euros, 27,000 pounds. For due diligence, people search the assets before they grant credit. As for responsible lending, they want to know whether this asset is incumbent. And 375,000 searches have been made to check whether those assets we want to take as collateral have been what? Have not been encumbered. And how many numbers of collateral? 663,000 collaterals have been used, have been registered on the NCR register. What are the expectations from us? Contact the financial institutions expressing the need to use your movable asset as collateral for credit. Ensure the assets are maintained in a good order. You must service the debt. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so very much. That was a good one there. So thank you. I know there are questions that people want to ask. And I think let me ask just maybe 2 or 3 them in the house from our guests who there will be questions. And at the same time, I know for people joining us on YouTube, kindly just chat, drop, be able to ask. So, as it were, the NCR, the collateral means that I can have my assets registered, and then still be, let's say, let's use the mention like the car, or let's have a commercial bus. So you are saying that I can still be using my commercial bus at the same time, while registered, use it to to use as collateral to access fund, and two still go hand in hand. So the question is that let's say I have this and this, the value. How do the creditor, how do they value the asset? Let's say I need 10 million naira. How do they, and perhaps when I bought a new car, let's just look at, okay, you bought your car for 10 million naira and you need 10 million naira, and this car has been like 3-4 years. How do creditors value the fund, the capital that I need? That's one. And then two, now let's now say an asset is being valued lower. Is there room for multiple collateral for a facility? We need, I want to take, still saying I want to take 10 million naira, and the first asset is saying 4 million or less than 10 million. What do we do? Am I to join assets, or how do we go about that? Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. How do creditors value the asset? It's a business model. There are ways of valuing movable assets. Different ways of valuing movable assets. The way Mr. X value his movable assets, consider look at the nature of the asset, the depreciation that should have been done, and if there is any wear and tear, they can see themselves. The banks will do it themselves.
Okay.
The banks will do it themselves. You have a 10 million naira vehicle. You bought it at 10 million naira. They will have a way of knowing what to do. And if the value is, say, 5 million now, nobody will give you 5 million. They will give you something below 5 million. So that's it. The banks have their business model. They will know how to value the asset. Yeah. Is there room for more than one creditor on a particular asset? Yes. Let's assume you have an asset, an equipment worth 50 million naira. And you went to Bank A to collect 5 million naira. There's still 45 million, am I right? The asset is still more. You can go to Bank B. When you go to Bank B will search the collateral registry, and we see that Bank A has priority and has given you 5 million. Bank B will look at it. The asset is 50 million. You've been given 5 million. Now we have got what? 50 million. Bank C can also do it. But remember, Bank A has number one priority.
Okay.
When there is default, Bank A lays a claim first. Sells the asset, collects his 5 million, sends it, Bank B collects his own, then Bank C collects his own. So one asset that has a good value can be used as long as you have not exhausted the amount.
Okay. So how about the multiple asset in the situation that the asset is lower than what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
So can I put 2-3? Okay.
You can use multiple assets. When there are in some places, when you go to our registry, you will see somebody say all my assets, and we mention my furniture, my bed, my fridge, my TV, my this. It takes care of all these things. It gives room.
Okay. All right. So let's have do we have any questions from the Connect.com is an indigenous web conferencing platform. I can't stop talking about Connect because it's our own. And then we are talking about buying our own things, using our own things. We are talking about developing Africa. The first way we can develop Africa, especially MSME, is by buying from ourselves. Is by doing so. Connect.com is our own. And interestingly, of course, very friendly platform. And there are lots that you can do with when it comes to the platform, Connect.com. And you can even if you have your meeting, you can have minutes of meeting. And then even like for Connect.com, you don't need borrowing dollars from our bookie to pay for web conferencing. With Naira, you pay, I think it's something like 5,000 or thereabout you pay per annum, and you enjoy all the stuffs and the other things. So we can't stop talking about Connect.com. It's our own, and we should all embrace that. So let's if we have any question from the room, and then we need to know if we have. Let's check the platform. If you have anybody, drop your question and then we attempt to. And at the same time, let's hear if we have question in the room. Thank you. If you have question in the room, you can just unmute and ask your question. As regards all the NCR presentation, if you have any question. All people can hear me. Yeah, I'm trying. Okay. As regards all the do we have any question? Okay, good afternoon, Suli Lawal. All right, we couldn't even take time to welcome people joining us. So sorry about that. Abdi Shola. No, I think it's audible. Good day, you're welcome. Do we have any question? Okay, good afternoon. Question, please, so that we can move on. We already, I think we're supposed to be on the second presentation now. So please, any question from the YouTube? I'm trying to check. Can you too? Okay. And in the room, guests, please, do you have any question for Mr. Bolus? If you have any question, kindly unmute and let's hear your question. Know that we are here, and to some of us, NCR is actually kind of new, and many of us running here and there looking for facility, and many of us we've talked to bank, we don't even know that we can talk to them about NCR. Okay, so let me ask, sir. So far, you mentioned one, the like 160, 41 financial institutions. I hope many of them are microfinance, I guess. So is it possible we know some of the commercial banks? I know recently that for those who are not aware, for 5 states, Sweden and the Sterling Bank has a machine fund, which is applying the NCR, which are the National Collateral Policy. I know of that. I know so. Although for 5 states, which is I think some of the states that's Sweden is having that. Very much aware. So, sir, can we know some of the? Okay, we have 7. The 141 active. So that I will know the bank to go to. So I not just assume that I can go to any bank. Can we have the idea of some of these banks that have this on, that we can actually enter and talk to about the about NCR, sir. Thank you, sir.
You can go to any bank in Nigeria and just meet them. Any of the deposit money bank, you tell them, oh, I need credit and I have my movable assets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so perhaps I enter and they say, sorry, we don't, because we try to ask some of the banks that will say, okay, they're still on it or they're still trying to consider it, especially for banks that has to do with, I go straight, banks that have to do with MSME, that has to do with MSME and serve between government and MSME, like Bank of Industry, for example, and Development Bank. Do we have a hope for the year 2023 that they're really going to do more for MSME in this regard?
I'm not with Dubai, so I don't know their plans.
Yeah, I'm just thinking there's any is giving any.
You see, we've had discussions with some of these development banks, and that's why our dream from the plans we have for the year is to deepen the growth of, and we will come from different angles. We will even have to talk to the deposit money banks, microfinance bank. We've been in touch with some development banks. Even if it's to have a talk with the international development partners. Wow. From our own angle, Central Bank has been having interventions. We will, if there is a gap we see, we can make suggestions that with this thing, this is the gap it can close for us. The government is interested in this. The governor of the Central Bank is interested in this thing with the whole of his heart. You know what happened in 2020? If we had not intervened as a nation, with all the projections they've made that we'll have dead bodies on the street of Nigeria because of hunger. You know that, but their projections failed. Remember, all these things happened when we went into anchor borrowers and we had rice revolution. I can vividly tell you that for the past 6-7 years, I've not bought foreign rice in my house.
Wow.
And anything we can do, if we identify a gap from an MSME, especially from our own angle, now I can vividly tell you what the NCR is looking at. The NCR has a regional penetration initiative now. At the regional penetration initiative, we are looking at each region on its own.
Okay.
Looking at the states in those regions, looking at the MSMEs. Our own is just the MSMEs. Looking at the MSMEs, how many we will then identify those MSMEs that we know when we touch them, when we stimulate something around them, it will affect the GDP of that region.
Exactly.
And when we look at this particular thing, we will then now proceed and see where the source of fund will be. That's why I said Smidan is our best friend.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about talking.
We cannot do this business without Smidan. In fact, Smidan, we are going to get married to Smidan this time around.
Very, very important.
You understand? So when we identify this thing, and you know that most of this research will be done, Smidan has more coverage than NCR.
Yeah.
And since Smidan has more coverage than NCR, then why can't we use them, collaborate with them seriously? And when we identify where these gaps are, we hit them. That is what we're going to do. And we hope within this year, we should make significant impact as a nation.
Wow. Thanks so much, sir. So, we keep saying that, and I'm again appealing to MSMEs. If you have not registered with Smidan, if you are not, we need to take the right steps. Now, you for this year, like the video I mentioned in the video I did for MSME, you cannot run it alone. There's need for collaboration, and you must be 5 and 6 with SMEDAN, because we have the MSME policy and financial different things coming up. And if you are with SMEDAN, you can be able to access all those opportunities, and it's very easy to register with SMEDAN. So we've talked about that over and over. So Kasim Oladipupo, please, your question. The meaning of NCR. NCR is National Collateral Registry. You are hearing that. That's the meaning. So let's ask a question. We have the opportunity so that you can be able to. You see, we probably bring this program to January. We wanted to do it last year, but we consider so many things. One, we were looking at, okay, the NCR coverage, and we're looking at so many things that, okay, this will be far better if it's at the beginning of the year, because for this year we have so many things planned to really help MSME, and we know there are records of depression, records of suicide, and lots of things happening. And at the center of this is the issue of money. And when you look at the people having the challenge, the issue of money, they have their businesses, they have what they do, but because of the COVID and so many things, so many businesses went down, and the owners are. So we can't give up. We have to move on, and that's why we come up with the MSME Leap Up Conference. That okay, we can dream again, despite what we had through COVID and the downturn issue, the financial issue, crisis globally. We can dream again, and that's why we come up with this. And we put this at the beginning of the year so that every other thing, like the next session we'll be going to, is talking about, because one of the things, now you have your collateral want to register. The second one they're going to ask you is that your bookkeeping. And we discovered that so many MSMEs don't have that. So, and that's why we're bringing things that are important, that all of them will work together, that we can be able to, maximize this year. So if we don't, I'm trying to check any question. So I want to appreciate Mr. Bolos Musa for giving your time. Even for being on before 11 a.m. and we had to delay you another 1 hour despite rushing all the meetings. Thank you so very much for coming around. And don't you think people may want to follow up with NCR? Is there any email or contact? How do people follow up? Perhaps people go to bank. Okay, very good. So please, if you want to know more about NCR and the benefits from NCR, you can always follow up. But be rest assured that this year, all of us, we need to work together. We need to collaborate, and we must have the high spirit. We understand the facts outside, but I tell you that as a Christian that keeps saying this, that if God be for us, there is no situation that can be against us. There is no condition, there is no downturn, there is no sea. There's nothing, there's no storm that can stand us if God be for us. And because it's for us, it's not left to us to be wise with maximize if God be for us. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming. We will be moving into the second session. I'm sure we have a second speaker in the house. Okay, so Mr. Moderator, Mr. Samuel, do we have a second speaker in the house now? Okay, Zint. All right. Okay. No, that has to be Pastor Anthony Begila. To follow up is I think we're going into bookkeeping now. Please step follow up so that we can have any. All right. So while we wait for the next speaker, I think I have to allow Mr. Bolus for other. Well, if you, I'm sure you are still in the house with us. I know that you have so many engagements.
I mean, we have to go out because I have to go to meet some stakeholders.
Oh, okay. So thanks so much. Thanks for coming, sir. So we
My
will
pleasure.
be anytime we have any. I know that you're always there for us. If you have any challenge, you have any question, we can always come to you. Thank you, sir. So
Thank you very much.
sir. So we move into the next one, which is will be coming up. But I need to just tell us generally about what we have, what we'll be having tomorrow. Now we've discussed about the NCR, and then I know the next question we'll be asking is that where is that money? So tomorrow, the tomorrow session will be having 4 banks coming in to share with us the facilities they have for MSME. We have the Prosper Bank. Prosper is Prosper Digital Bank. Prosper Digital Bank. We have Sterling Bank, and we have Wema Bank. We also have Fidelity Bank. They will all be coming tomorrow. We have the schedule for all of them, and then on Thursday we'll be talking about investments and businesses, because this year we must scale. It's the year for us to scale, and for us to scale, we must try to explore. So one of the things that we'll be enjoying on Thursday is knowing the investment available within the country and outside the country. We'll be hearing from some of the experts who will be sharing with us about that. And for some young entrepreneurs, we'll be sharing in-house opportunities that we have in the Empower project, because we actually prepared for this year. We prepared because we know that what we can only contribute, we need to contribute our own to see the nation developing. We can't just be complaining. We need to do something. So we'll be looking at some investments and some business opportunities that you can do. That's for Thursday. And then, like I said, throughout this year, almost every month, we have a major program for MSME, a major program, and holistic in the sense that we try to cover so many areas, try to cover so many projects within the year that's we know that will help. And one of them is what we are seeing now. So do we have so, and for some that are asking about SMIDAN, there's SMIDAN in, of course, we have Lagos and different states have SMIDAN, but you can easily go online and sign up. I think we have SMIDAN register.ng, if I'm correct. You can sign up, you can register to be part of SMIDAN, and then look out for, okay, you go online, try to look out about, read about SMIDAN, but let me just warn us ahead. So don't go online to go and be looking for SMIDAN loan. There are fraudsters online. Don't look, SMIDAN don't put loans online. There are things I always want people to get right. So that, because we are saying this because these are the things we have experienced, that people say there's SMIDAN loan, and they go online, they ask, they will ask them to drop their information, make payment. What you are going to do online when you go to, let me get the right link. Smidan. So make sure, okay, we have smidan.gov.ng. That is where you can know everything about Smidan. That is where you can know everything about Smidan. That's smidan.gov.ng. Then we have the Smidan registration. That's where we have smidanregister.ng. Smidanregister.ng is where you will register to be part of Smidan. So these are two websites. Smidan.gov.ng is where you will know everything about Smidan. Anything you want to know. If you want to follow up, if you want to know where you can see any Smidan, if you want to know if there's Smidan office around you, if you want to know any Smidan office around you, you go to smidan.gov.ng. Or if any program, any loan, any support, any empowerment about Smidan, go to smidan.gov.ng. Don't go to the link that tells you Smidan loan and they begin to play you like football. And then you need to register with Smidan, and that is smidanregister.ng. Smidanregister.ng. That is where to register with Smidan. It's very, very, that's very, very important. Okay, so I think we need to move on now. I need to call the next person that is taking us. Trust is in now. So we should be having I just try to contact the next speaker and he's trying to sign in. Okay, so let's just look at the people. Okay, Yewande Mabel, good afternoon. I appreciate all of you joining us online. If you have not subscribed to our channel, eaproject.tv, I strongly advise that you do that, because some things, all this, we have notification, you can be able to know what is coming. Every opportunity that is coming, we make sure that we share with that. Sometimes we do video, and then we go to a project TV. We have some Monday motivations and some training videos. We see, like I said, as our training is holistic in sense, because we have trainings that focus on entrepreneurship, and at the same time, we try to do some trainings that help in digitalization. For small business owner, you want to go online, you want to run your Facebook, your Google, we try to do some trainings that help you to even that doing your graphics, doing your banner. If you go to there are so many trainings we have on eaproject.tv that you can learn how to do some things. And so I encourage us to try and be part of it. Try to subscribe if you have not, and then let's follow, and then we'll trust that we will get better from there. All right. So the next, is he in now? Samuel, please, is he in now so that we can go on? Oh, I think he's trying to. So the banks we're having tomorrow, I think I've mentioned that. I'm trying to read something. As a meeting from 1 p.m. maybe. We are waiting. Are we able to follow up and know what is the update? Oh, so well, it will not be. I think it's we can't keep people waiting. So what is going to happen is because people will be having another session because tomorrow I want us to start the 11 and so people have other things doing. So probably what we're going to do is what I will suggest is we only have the just two sessions for today, and he is probably the second person, but and we can't keep people waiting. What we do is that we probably maybe we have him along with tomorrow's session so that people can be able to do other things for today. I think it's better than keeping people waiting. So let me just okay. So what I think we can do is that we close for the day for today and tomorrow day two. So we have the banks and then we have the session that set up so that we don't just keep people waiting online. Let's end today's meeting, then we continue tomorrow. So tomorrow we have the 4 banks and then we have the because it's very, very important. Bookkeeping, we can't. It's something that people get to bank and it becomes a challenge. So it's good we get MSME prepared as that regard. One thing I want us all to understand is that from the video that I shared at the beginning of the year, this year we're going to witness lots of implementation, and as MSME, NMSME, you must position yourself because it's no more business as usual. At the level we are now, there's need for scaling, and every one of us must be ready to give it all it takes. So, and it starts from knowing what is available. It starts from information. So, and that's why we're putting all this together. We talk about Sweden. Many don't know this, and we're trying to do it before. I think after the election, we will be having the session that sees to the SDGs, the goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, the MSME policy. That's the 2020 to 2025 MSME policy and the Startup Act. We've seen the link for MSME, and we'll be looking deeply. There's lots of business opportunities and lot of scaling opportunities in these three. For example, in the SDGs, there's for those who can scale. For example, I'm into tailoring and fashion designing. How do I cut waste and the stuff, and then the green, the organic approach, the green financing. There are a lot of things, the SDGs, and then inclusion. All these that they are there, that there are opportunity for so many SMEs that you can scale into. And then talking about the MSME policy, there are lots embedded that we need to know. And even when we know, we can be able to go to our states and confront our state governments. If they are not doing anything for MSME in any state, you, by knowing the policy that is available from the federal, you can be able to confront your government, and you can become a volunteer to make it happen in your state. You can, so that the MSME in your state and the BMOs can be able to access the opportunities that are available. And then talking about the Startups Act. Now, the Startup Act is not talking about the startups in MSME or in regular business. People need to know that it's not this that we'll be doing a program around that. The Startup Act is actually about the tech startups. So, but how is it? Whatever the tech startups, that you have a software, you have a concept, a digital, you have a patent, you have a digital product. So how does it connect with the MSME in general? Now, if you have, you can become incubator. You are not the one with the software. You can become an incubator. You can make available a space for the startups, and then you can sponsor. You can become the so apart from being an incubator, you can promote, you can sponsor, you can become an angel investor, and there are a lot of things around that. All these three principles, all these three policies, and this year is going to witness lots of implementation, which will give opportunity. Already there are lots of opportunity for MSME, and we will be talking about all this in our programs. But for today, I need to let us, because I know we have other things doing, so we will be ending the meeting now, and let's meet. We're so sorry for what happened today. Of course, we've been here, we've been in the studio before 11, so it's not about starting or want to start late or coming late. So I promise you that 11 a.m. starting tomorrow, and we starting right away with the banks, and then we can be able to then we with the bookkeeping, account management and stuff for tomorrow. So if you have any question, can send us your questions. You can, but I just need us to prepare. I need us to open our mind. I need us to be positive that this year is our year. This year we're not just, it's not just about saying it. As we say it, we are acting it out, and it's going to happen for us. So I thank you all for coming. I thank you for being part of the program. I appreciate all our guests, honors who have joined us today. We look forward to see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. And all our guests on YouTube, thank you for being part of it today. Please don't just listen, don't just learn. Take steps as we unfold all these discoveries. Thank you for coming. Thank you. So, and there we appreciate Connect.com one more time, and Smidan for always being there. Thank you, and all our sponsors. We have time to talk more about partnerships. So, Connect, over to you. I think we can end the meeting for today. Thank you.